Welcome to We Love Deck Builders, the podcast dedicated to empowering deck industry pros to construct a thriving business. Join your host, April Edwards, founder of Deck Builder Marketers, as she brings you a cheat sheet of industry secrets and strategies that promise to boost your deck building business. Whether you're a battle-tested pro or just starting your entrepreneurial journey, this podcast is your arsenal for expert insights and actionable advice. So tune in and let's carve a path to business growth, one insight at a time.
Welcome back to the We Love Deck Builders podcast. I'm your host, April Edwards, and today we have a very special guest, Mike Mitchell from Mitchell Construction. He's a trailblazer in this industry, and we're really excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and thanks for having me on here. This is such a great opportunity.
For sure. Well, we're all interested in hearing your story, so I'd like to just start from the beginning. Share with us how Mitchell Construction got its start.
Sure. So my dad actually started in 1978, and he started the company out doing all different sorts of building through the years. Built houses, did remodeling, and through different recessions had to change gears, things like that. And when I got into the picture, it was mostly framing of homes. So I started out as a framer and learned a lot.
And how old were you?
I was 18.
Okay.
So I should backtrack a little bit. I actually started in the summers, when I was like 14, 15, 16, but full-time right out of high school. That was my first real job, I guess, was full-time in construction. So, but so much to be learned in that trade. There was, you learned about bearing points and how to cut roofs, and learned about stairs and things like that. They were all great things to learn, and it's definitely helped my career out. As I started getting further into the company, I wanted to change the direction a little bit, and we started steering more towards smaller projects, more in the backyard, and niching down a little bit to kind of be able to focus in order to grow. So like we went smaller in order to get bigger, in a sense.
I can relate to that.
And what's really cool about the starting and the framing thing, or framing aspect, is all of the other trades. You learn about all the other trades. You learn what the electrician needs. You learn what the plumber needs. What the roofer wants. So all of these things translate into the deck. When you're adding covered roofs or heaters or gas lines for fire pits, things like that. So it's really cool to have that background.
Mm-hmm. So was it a natural or organic transition into backyards, or was there anything in particular that really made you want to shift to just focus on decks and outdoor living?
So my older brother worked with us as well, and we didn't really all work together well, so he loved construction still and broke off, did his own thing. And he started in the decking industry. So that was kind of our intro to go in that direction, is seeing what's available and the cool projects that can be made. And that's where we started leaning that way. So we kind of had like a nice, easy transition, since there was already some of that work going on.
Very cool. Very cool. So you, family business, I'm sure that has its pros and cons.
Yeah, that's for sure.
More pros
than cons.
Yeah, at least it's not husband and wife only. That's a whole different story, right?
Right.
So tell us a little bit more about the type of projects that you do, or that you prefer to do, and really what makes Mitchell Construction unique in that aspect.
So we really focus on low maintenance. So pretty much every project we do, we tailor everything to be able to just enjoy the space instead of working at it. So when we're done, you shouldn't have to do anything to the project except for clean it. There are still some cases where there's a little bit of maintenance, but we really focus on getting rid of the maintenance, enjoying the space, and then making the space usable for what you're planning to do with it. we're also looking to do more in the backyard. So, it starts with a deck, but we also do pergolas and louvered roofs and covered roofs, all which we focus on all of that being low maintenance or maintenance free for the most part.
Yeah. Are you seeing any trends in your area this year?
So I just mentioned the covered roofs and pergolas, things like that. That has been a big shift. We've seen to get a lot more requests for like a shaded or covered or waterproof area to be able to enjoy that space. Probably because the spaces are becoming a little more expensive. Let's try to use them more than just the nicest days. So
yeah, awesome. Do you have like a memorable project that stands out that would be interesting to hear about?
Memorable project. So I've got two that kind of stand out in my mind. One was on a lake, and it had like every bell and whistle you can think of with the motorized retractable screens that came down underneath the deck. Some of them were dual tracked, where you could have a TV projector screen, or you could roll that up and have an insect screen. That was a really cool project, multi-level, really cool view, nice place to work. And probably like my most proud project that was actually something we donated to our local park district. They had a fishing pier that they actually had to tear down because it was so unsafe, but they didn't have the funds to necessarily rebuild it the way they wanted to. So we donated our time and were able to build a low maintenance project for the park district. So that was probably one of the coolest things.
Oh, very cool. I think so. You're like the Hugh Hefner of the Chicagoland area. That sounds a little wild. But do you know the story about that? Do you know where I'm going with that?
No.
So Hugh Hefner is the one responsible for redoing the Hollywood sign. It used to be Hollywood Land.
Okay.
And I found out recently that he did that 2 times. I think he did it earlier on, maybe in the 60s, 50s, 60s or something. And I could be completely off, so somebody can Google that shit. But I think in the 90s or something, he redid it too. So yeah, you're the Hugh Hefner of Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
Giving back to the community. I love it. Awesome. So from a business perspective, I mean, if you're anything like me, I've learned everything through trial and error, it seems like, what do you think has been the biggest learning opportunity that you've had in your business?
Like the thing that I guess thing that I learned the most, I would say probably learning that I don't have to do everything myself. Being able to delegate, being able to train somebody or guide somebody to be able to do something that you would only typically think you could do yourself. Coming from the carpentry background, I know that's a big thing. Being a carpenter and producing the project is one thing, but you can't do enough with that. And it took me a long time to learn that I can step back and guide somebody else to do it the way that I envisioned it and do multiple of those at the same time. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that took the longest to learn for me.
Yeah, that's good. That's hard, especially, I mean, I completely understand that. I started my own business from the ground up and with my own hands, working nights and weekends, and it's still even a struggle, to let people to allow people to make their own mistakes so that they can learn too, Mm-hmm. And then I think, I have an example that came up where a team member made a mistake and she just felt so bad about it, and I was like, hey, we're a team, we're in this together. And I just thought about the early days when it was all on me, and that's a lot of pressure. And it still is being a business owner, but it is very nice to have a team where you could bring certain people on that excel in areas that, maybe you're not so good at too, which is nice.
Yeah. And sometimes you find out that they're actually better than you were at it, which is really cool.
Yeah. So the theme is, letting go of the vine, as we call it. It's hard.
I'm still learning that. I'm still trying. There's still some things that I'm holding on to that I need to let go of. But
Yep, for sure, for sure. So I know that Mitchell Construction has surpassed your sales goal early this year. What's your secret to that?
So I guess first and foremost, we've always had these goals to grow, and growth has been pretty consistent over the years. And in order to do that, you need more leads coming in. You need more systems put in place to follow up with those leads, and also at the same time, you want the projects to entail more items. So there's more that goes into each sale, and the projects get bigger. But I think one of the things that helps us is we really make sure that the customer is a good fit for us, and we're a good fit for the customer. So we spend a lot of time on the front end making sure that we're not wasting each other's time. Like, we don't want to go out there and go through a whole process and find out that they don't want to work with us, or we don't want to work with them. So I think that's helped our sales goals a lot. And in order for that to work out, you need a lot of leads coming in, because you're going to lose some leads by working it that way.
Yeah, I spoke with another builder earlier today, and it's so interesting how your business evolves and how, obviously the problems are different, but your goals kind of change too. And so a really good example is this deck builder I was speaking to earlier. He wants his close rate to be lower. And it kind of is what you're saying, where you don't want to work with everybody. And so if your close rate is actually lower, it doesn't mean that the leads are bad necessarily. It just means that you've earned the privilege of being selective, is what I like to say. And that's a good thing. So, I live in a world of data and metrics, and you can't look at it at face value. I'll tell you that.
And it goes the other way too. You don't want a customer that's going to be unhappy with you too. So, that's what also leads to success, is making sure that they're going to be happy.
Yeah. So I know a little bit about your estimating process too. Do you want to speak to that at all? And how you approach that?
As far as,
so some builders, this is a conversation I see going on in the Facebook groups a lot, where people want to know, do you charge for estimates? Do you not charge for estimates? And it's something that I've heard kind of 50-50, whether one way works or the other. And so it's just always interesting to hear people's take on that.
Gotcha. Yes. So we'll do a free estimate over the phone. And, sometimes that's a 10-minute conversation. Sometimes that's an hour. Usually it entails getting some pictures sent back and forth, and maybe getting a copy of a plotted survey, something like that. But during that process, we can give a free ballpark estimate, and they're usually pretty close. I mean, as long as it's not a really chopped up situation or something where you can't see all the angles, we can get pretty close. But then to set up the on-site consultation, yes, we do have a consultation fee. We currently are putting that towards the project. So if the customer pays the consultation fee, we would apply that towards as like the first payment in a sense. So it's not like any money out of their pocket if they're moving forward. But yeah, there is a little fee in order to come out for the initial consultation.
And how long have you seen that that's made an impact in the business or changed in any way by starting to do that? And how long have you been doing that?
I want to say it's been about 2 years when we first started that, a little over 2 years. And yes, it's what it's done is it's freed up our time to better help the customers that are actually our customers. So we've been able to lower our prices in a sense, because we're not spending all of these hours chasing leads out in the field that are not our customers.
Yeah. And when you say we, do you want to talk about your sales team?
So yeah, this year we did one of the lead carpenter foremen wanted to expand into a little bit more of the company, and so we do have him doing some sales, and so far it's been doing really good. Yeah,
that's a big leap, wouldn't you say?
It's a huge leap. I'm super pumped about it, because it's like that's something I've always looked for, is somebody that wanted to grow within the company and have other places to go.
Yeah, I think that's, at least in my opinion, that's the hardest component of your business to let go of. I think that I think that us business owners, we understand our customers better than anybody, and it's I think that's kind of the last thing to hand off. I kind of look at it as your operations, that the construction, or sorry, the admin. Get rid of the admin type of stuff first. Get rid of the construction tasks. Get rid of your marketing tasks, and then the sales is like the last thing to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's amazing. So with all of these changes and just your success this year with reaching your sales goal or early, how has that personally affected your life, your personal life?
I mean, so first of all, I'm so happy to be able to provide a space for all of the employees to be able to grow and support their families under our umbrella. So it's really cool to have that. As far as my personal life, maybe it's been a little busier this year than in the past, but I still definitely set aside time for them. So I'm constantly volunteering at the school, and I'm always there for games and competitions and things like that. And also I'm fortunate enough to work from home a lot. So a lot of the time when I'm working, I can take little breaks, make sure I'm spending as much time as I can with the family.
Awesome. That's so good to hear. It's there's so many sacrifices that we have to make as business owners, and sacrificing your time with your kids when you only have them this short period of their lifespan is a really difficult one to do. And it's always nice to hear when people can be present in those areas. I have a friend that is a pilot, and somehow he has managed to fly around the world for many years and never miss his kids' games. I don't know I don't know how he's able to do that, but it's awesome. Impressive. Yeah. So props to you. That's great.
And I'm not saying I have to get up at 4:00 in the morning in order to make all that happen. And there's definitely some downsides to it too, but
yeah. Adulting.
Yes.
So getting up at 4 a.m, that's a good segue. I mean, how do you, running a successful business takes a really strong mindset. How do you take care of yourself in order to maintain that?
So I recently went through the Legacy Dex experience, and that has kind of changed my way of taking care of myself. I used to not take care of myself, I should say. And I'm not perfect at it either, but I've got in a much better routine of eating healthier, exercising, and putting the time into the family and making more time for that. So part of getting up early is knocking some of those things out before I start work. So
yeah, that's good. And so what does Chris say? He says, take care of the businessman before the business plan.
That is correct.
All right. I love it. I'm so glad you're following that. And so has your family noticed any difference since you've started, taking care of the businessman before the business plan?
Yeah, for sure. It's really cool. Some of the things I noticed the most is like when I get notes back from the kids or something, and it's like, it's really just so satisfying to see that getting passed on to them without actually having to like do anything. They just learn by example, right? So
right. It's more about what you do than you say, right? That's awesome. I do the same thing. I guess I didn't realize all of the things that Chris was, recommending, and some of those things I was doing from, recommendation from my own business coach. And I have to say, the other day I looked in my son's drawer because I was stealing his Halloween candy, and I noticed that he had all of my notes tucked away, and I thought he was just throwing them away, and that just meant so much to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I haven't told Chris yet, but I started a Facebook group for my husband, so I sent
awesome.
Cute little videos every once in a while. I don't do that stuff as much as I did in the beginning because I felt like, so I'm talking about notes of gratitude for anybody that's listening. You send little notes of gratitude to your kids or your significant other, just anybody in general. And doing it every day, I felt took away from the what's the word I want to use? Like authenticness of it. I don't know if that's the right word I'm trying to say, but so now I do it less frequently, but still frequently. And I feel that, everyone really appreciates it. So it's a good thing.
Well, what I think is really cool is that it makes you look for the gratitude. So you actually are more proactive in noticing, which is huge.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. I think that it's easy for us to focus on the negative stuff more than the positive. But if you really stop, you'll notice there's a lot of beauty in the world.
Yeah.
And just the small little things, like my dog sticking her head out the window and enjoying the breeze in the car, living her best life. So what's next for Mitchell Construction? Can you give us a sneak peek in the next year and beyond?
So we're still expanding. We recently got another vehicle. It is wrapped and all built out. So next year we'll be adding a crew. But also I'm looking to try and take on more of the backyard. So that's kind of my focus for 2024 is to take over more of that space and really let people know that we can do the covered porches and pergolas and kitchens and fire pits and things like that. So that's where we're kind of heading. I'll always want to keep it still in the low maintenance category, so I want to focus it on that. But yeah, so hopefully we can keep growing and
love it. So I have to ask you. Would you have any words of wisdom or advice to give any of our listeners?
One of the ones that sticks out is know your numbers.
Love it.
And that's I've learned over the last year that's not just your profit and loss, but know your close rate, know your leads coming in, know how many of those are qualified and where do they come from? Where are you spending your money? Things like that. So
yeah,
I'd say knowing your numbers all around is not an easy thing to say, but it should be adapted early.
Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. Well, do you have anything else that you would like to close out with? Anything else about your journey or anything coming up that you want to share?
I do write a column in the Deck Specialist magazine with my friend Andy from Henhouse Decks. That's been really cool. So it's just a kind of a way to give back to the industry and share some products and technologies that we use and or might be coming out, and it's really been a lot of fun. And within some of that same circle, we have a panel discussion or two coming up at the Deck Expo in Las Vegas. So if you're there, come check that out.
Did you say a panel or two?
We're going to be in two round tables. Yeah.
And you and Andy are doing that together.
There's a couple. Some others. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. And then, if could you tell our listeners the best way to get in touch with you and where they should go to follow your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. The best is at Mitcon Decks. A lot of people know us as that. So any of our social handles is at Mitcon Decks.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories and your insights with us. For our listeners, make sure that you tune in to our next episode and always keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
So good to see you.
You too.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, deck building community. Enjoyed the show? Hit subscribe and give us your thoughts. We love hearing from you. Ready to level up your business? Visit deckbuildermarketers.com. Check out our services and let's build your success together. Don't forget to download our free guides. They're a game changer. Thanks for tuning in to We Love Deck Builders and see you on the next episode.